everyone, welcome back to Installation 00, and more specifically, welcome to the Armory. This is where all weapons from Halo lore be featured and analysed in detail. In this episode, we look at a mainstay that has made its debut most recently with the launch of Halo Infinite. I have no idea how this one slipped through the net, but it's finally about time we take a closer look at the Sidekick. Let's begin. The Mk50 Sidekick is a relatively new addition to the UNSC arsenal, and despite lacking the larger caliber, armor-piercing, high-explosive stopping power of the M6 series, the smaller caliber Sidekick has a much higher rate of fire, and thus allows the wielder to put much more lead downrange than the M6 in an equal span of time. Due to its simplified form and function, the weapon also benefits from a much faster draw and reload time than that of other handguns in use by the UNSC, again working to its advantage when the aim is to fill an enemy with bullets until they fall down. The Mk50 Sidekick is a semi-automatic handgun in service with the UNSC Armed Forces, manufactured by Emerson Tactical Systems, the same corporation responsible for a plethora of other equipment in use with the UNSC, including over half a dozen Mjolnir powered assault armor variants across the Gen 2 and Gen 3 platforms, and nearly a dozen armor attachments frequently used by Spartan operatives. It differs significantly from the M6 series, the UNSC's most prominent sidearm, lacking the M6 signature handguard and smart-linked optic, the KFA 2x2, while also firing a lower caliber round. The Mk50 Sidekick entered production and was in service with the UNSC as early as 2551, and by December of 2559, the weapon was in service with the UNSC forces aboard the UNSC Infinity, and saw action at the Battle for Zeta Halo. The Sidekick measures 32.8 centimeters or 12.9 inches in length, 25.4 centimeters or 10 inches in height, and 2.4 centimeters or 0.94 inches in width without any attachments. The Sidekick is a simple, clean aesthetic design with basic iron sights, a slide, comfortable pistol grip with the inlaid logo of Emerson Tactical, ambidextrous safety switch, and likely an optic suite for assistance in smart scoping integrated directly below the barrel. The attachment that is featured most prominently on most Sidekicks would seemingly be a torch and/or laser attachment. It's worth noting, while the gun itself does not feature smart scoping suites in the conventional sense, in the same capacity that the M6 series of sidearms do, the optics are likely used passively for the HUD and visor systems of Spartan operatives to allow the HUD to give display zoomed optics and HUD overlay information fed from the weapon. It fires the M135 10x31mm semi-armor piercing round from a detachable box magazine with a typical capacity of 12 rounds. The rounds are suspected to be solid or hollowed steel bodies, although titanium and depleted uranium is in much higher use with the UNSC than current militaries, so the exact classification of SAP rounds may have changed in the 500-year interim. These rounds seemingly do not use a tungsten carbide or other hardcore penetrator, as this would classify the projectile as being armor-piercing rather than semi-armor-piercing. Examination of the rounds reveals a brass shell and a copper or cupro-nickel jacket, assisting the round in engagement with the rifling of the barrel without excessively fatiguing the barrel. Softer, more ductile metals such as copper deform and shape to the rifling of the barrel much easier than a harder material like steel, thereby reducing excessive wear on the interior surface of the barrel. The Sidekick comes in a few standard variants aside from the stock Mk50. The Mk50 Swift Guard, which is a variant with beta build firmware to improve end-to-end data encryption and increase compatibility with vintage UNSC protocols, and the Striker Sidekick, which is a yellow painted variant of the Mk50 Sidekick that holds 14 rounds, can kill in a minimum of 5 shots, and features less bloom at the cost of stronger recoil, likely due to heavier barrel, marginally smaller but hotter ammunition, perhaps even making use of harder materials or, indeed, a hardcore penetrator. This has yet to be clarified. The Sidekick also has a few attachments. The Crit Point Shroud, developed by 343 Industries, which exponentially increases the weapon's visual appeal. It also makes it look cooler. The M90 Shroud, offered by Korolev Heavy Industries, and is marketed towards the police and self-defense markets, suggesting, perhaps, to a concealed taser function. And finally the Tactic Lamp, again developed by 343 Industries, which is a frame-mounted, non-reciprocating shroud with accessory rails. The Sidekick benefits from an extremely quick draw time owed in no small part to its simplified and streamlined design, alongside an extraordinarily fast reload time thanks to a well-placed ejection button sitting conveniently close to the thumb and a flared magazine well, allowing the wielder to eject a spent magazine with a roll of the thumb and a flick of the wrist, and insert a new one without having to look. This makes the Sidekick a particularly well paired weapon with the assault rifle, as the rifle can be used to quickly drain shields and armour of an opponent, quickly switching to the Sidekick to finish with a single headshot. The weapon can fire around almost as fast as the wielder can squeeze the trigger. However, this does come at a cost of accuracy, causing numerous subsequent shots to be fired before optimal aim has been restored. The Sidekick is a lighter, faster and all-round more reliable handgun that, despite being one of the newest arms on the battlefield, is very quickly gaining notoriety and favour amongst active UNSC forces. With time, we can only expect continued development and innovation of the weapon and its attachments that will only aid it in extending use through the UNSC and beyond. Thanks for watching. If I could respectfully ask, if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you're told the second a new video hits the shelves. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed, and if not, it's not a problem. And be sure to pop a comment below to throw me an idea on what you want to see next. Massive thanks to my awesome patrons, Spartan10148, the Metarch of my facility, Falcon, Prophet, Leon, Sylphia, Mikhail and Irrefutable, the monitors of the array, Darian, Flaming Halo, Cameron, Spartan0137, the Cave Potato, Andrew, Shia, Dakota and Ghost, my diligent sub-monitors, my fleet of Strato Sentinels, and my loyal enforcers, and all other patrons who have supported the channel and helped keep the domain operational. Huge props and recognition to Todd Morrison, Spartan137, Wesley Stuckey and Jacob Kemp for jumping on as Tier 0 Transcendent YouTube members. You guys are epic. Shout out to John for reasons. And if you want to help support the channel and score yourself tons of perks and merch, head over to Patreon or consider becoming a YouTube member. Links, as ever, are in the description. Much love. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.